Happy Moonday. Hello, love. Hello, Rufus, Scotty. Bring the whole family down for half moon, moon day specials. Free moon pies and moon boots. That's amazing. What a great flow. Thank you for that. That's really good. Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. So good to be here. How is everyone? How are you guys feeling? So glad you could make it. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's so awesome. As tradition, just gonna let some people stream in while we shoot the shit. I hope you're all doing well. I feel like it's intense. I don't know about you guys, but it's been like intense for me. Like, wow, big things. But that's kind of gonna be. I feel like one of the topics today is transformation and evolution and continuing to flow into this experience. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everyone streaming in. Happy Moonday. Yesterday was rough. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Time is so weird. I mean, I don't know. Time is like, it's interesting, especially now doing these every single week. It just shows, it feels like, I don't know, every week goes by like a day almost. But yeah, I suppose we'll just start to dive into it and feel free to, bring up anything you guys might want to talk about. This is another one where I'm just going to be like free flowing, but I really want to talk about dealing with intensity. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but it's just something that at least I deal with a lot. And, we are approaching eclipse season, which, I guess everyone's different. And for me, I know there's certain eclipses that have been really smooth, and there's certain eclipses that have completely wrecked my life. And if I wreck my life, I mean, I'm just being silly, but um, yeah, just really big changes, really big shifts. Eclipses, no matter what, they're really great portals and opportunities for immense growth and transformation. I'm sorry my audio is low. I haven't, but give me a few months because I promise you my audio is about to be awesome. It's going to be unrecognizable. That's one of my goals. So that's definitely something I want to work on and that I'm actually learning right now. Let's try to make this mic a little closer. But yeah, I feel that time is flying but moving in slow motion. It's really weird. It's hard to even talk about because it's like time in general is already a tricky thing to talk about. So feeling it changing and shifting, it's like I don't even know. There's not even words for it. Hello, Angie. So yeah, and so another thing with the eclipse is, not only are we going into eclipse season, but both eclipses are going to be in Scorpio, which is the sign of intensity. So I think that's probably why this one is been really intense for me already, and it hasn't even really started yet. But I feel like you can already feel the energies, and so I just kind of want to flow with that and just share, my experience of dealing with like intensity and like mental and emotional turbulence, because I don't know, it's just I think it's just again part of transformation, and it's something that we all go through. It doesn't matter how um, far along your journey you are, you're always going to be having these moments in your life, at least in my life. Like, for example, right now, it's like I feel like I'm being floored with how beautiful and juicy and amazing life is. I'm floored, but at the same time, it's like there's moments where I'm like, I feel like the floor has actually been ripped up from beneath me, and I'm just like, holy shit, like, what is even going on? And it's so multidimensional because, I'm just, I guess, really aware that, there's this part of me that is eternal and just totally unshakable. It's like there's this part of me that is like it's safe. Like I'm rooted into that part of me that really loves me, loves myself, and trusts myself no matter what. Yet at the same time, there's aspects of me that can be so utterly broken, or I don't know how else to say it, just so utterly in pain. Coming online our multidimensionality in these different parts of ourselves. So I guess part of that for me is learning to, again, and this is something that's simple, but it's so, so, so important, is really, really having compassion for yourself and for others, of course. But like anything, it starts at home. And like, when you have these intense emotions or pains or times in your life, like what's happening to me right now, where it's like all of these things are suddenly being revealed to me. Like, I guess these things that I would say have been bothering me, that I've kind of, it's been part of like patterning and just like thinking that I don't know, I guess I just wasn't really able to see it. And then all of a sudden it was revealed to me like so strong. And it was like so harsh to me. It was painful. I mean, I definitely like cried a lot, and I just say that to just let if you're going through that now, if that's something you will go through, just honestly feel like it's just part of the experience, and it's just something that we learn to flow with. I don't try to like stifle it. I don't try to repress that stuff at all, but I also don't really like identify with it. I just, it's such a balance of just acknowledging it and flowing with it, and trying to have as much grace as you can. But at least for me, sometimes it's so intense. Like the emotions can be so intense that I literally feel like I'm gonna die. Like that's just like how my body feels. It's like, holy shit, like, are you serious? Like, wow. But, obviously by this point in my life, I'm grateful I have enough wisdom to just trust and just keep flowing with it and just keep surrendering to my higher self and looking for the lesson. There's so many different things that you begin to learn the more you do it and the more you recognize, because this is the thing, and this is just again a reminder, any upset is always just a call for deeper awakening. That's really how I see it. Anything that's triggering you, I think we're, in a way, we've been programmed in the past to think that it's a punishment or we're doing something wrong, and that can be one of those knee-jerk reactions. It's like, what am I doing wrong? And a lot of times, it's more about growing and expanding and realizing like, oh, like, what's no longer working for me, or maybe I don't like how this person is treating me, or maybe I don't like how I'm treating myself, you know and these deep deep things that we're all learning. We're all evolving. Again, it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, if you just started on your healing journey or if you've been doing this for 10, 20 years. Life is always going to meet you where you are. So I think that's again another huge program we have. Sometimes we look at other people's lives and it seems like, I don't know, it seems like maybe like, again, that ego narrative of like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing it right, I should be doing something else, look at this person, they're doing it way better than I am. And it's like, these are really just, here's the biggest thing, like this is one of my biggest priorities right now that I'm learning, is what if you could just trust yourself so deeply, like right where you are, like just completely trust everything that is arising in you and just completely trust how you are feeling. um Really good question, Angie, on self-forgiveness. She says, can you touch on self-forgiveness? I feel like it's one of the things holding many of us back. Is it ego, self-sabotage? Yeah, that's so relevant to what I've been feeling and what I've been saying. So I'll definitely um like segue into that in a moment. But a deep thing for me right now is really just trusting myself so much, because that can be one of the hardest things. I feel like once you really um kind of get off a lot of like, I don't know, the superficial layers of your healing journey, and you it's like trusting yourself and getting past the self-doubt. I feel like that's one of the deepest things. Again and again, it's like, for me, like, I just kind of realize like I'm literally in my higher self. You know, that's how I see it. It's like, so I trust what's arising. Like I don't you know, I don't really like identify with it that like I should be doing something else, or you know, what am I doing wrong, or like these things that can like drive us crazy when you're literally right where you need to be. And the more you're present with that, even if it's painful, the more, because I try to be really present in the pain, because again, it's the best teacher you can have, you know. And again, I feel the less you resist it and you just feel it, and you know, do your alchemy. There's different ways to do your alchemy, whether it's breathing. You know, lately my favorite one has been dancing like a crazy person, like just dancing, or singing, or you know, making sound and expressions, you know, however that comes to you. Being in nature, you know, all these things that we acquire on our journey. But yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to say that too, like really honoring yourself and loving, because that's the thing with like going through intensity, no matter what it is, the more love you have for self. And I'm obviously not talking about like um, being conceited, but like genuine love, the great dance. Yes, exactly. Genuine love, like unconditional love for yourself, you know, even if you're breaking down, or even if it's painful, or, you know, these moments in life that are intense. I don't know, I just feel like that's really, really helpful to have that love, even if you're not exactly feeling, you know, maybe even if you're not exactly feeling pleasure, you can still feel that love for yourself through the pain. And oops, where'd it go? I've stayed said the great dance, which is funny because like before I get on here, I like to think, I like to take a moment to close my eyes and see what comes to me, and that's what I kept getting, is like a dance, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. So it's just funny. I love how we're all like so in sync here. It's so cool. But I was literally seeing the dance because that's really what I'm feeling. Like I'm feeling like some super polarizing energies within me, but I'm also feeling like a unification of them at the same time. So I'll get more into that in a second, but I want to go back to um, what Angie was talking about. I want to make sure I really answer that question because that's really important. Yeah, self forgiveness. Oh my gosh. So that's even something I'm really feeling right now. And I even made up this mantra, if I can remember it. I'm trying to think. It'll come back to me. Something I like to do is come up with these mantras in the moment, and I just will like sing them, or say them. It's like really helpful for me. But I guess one of the things that is arising for me on that topic is, you know, when you feel like a sense of self betrayal, which is so deep, the first thing that's coming up is like remembering that if you know now things that you didn't know then. You know, I don't think in many cases like there might be a subconscious element of us that sabotages ourselves, or you know, is patterned. We have these patterns where like we allow ourselves to hurt ourselves or be hurt by others, and then eventually there comes a point in your journey where like all of a sudden you see that pattern, or you see how you've been treating yourself, or you've been allowing others to treat you, which is very, very connected, you know. It's kind of inseparable, and it's so painful when that happens, because it's like, are you kidding me? Like, why am I letting myself be treated like this? And especially for people with like deep rooted patterns of feeling unworthy, which I think is pretty much everyone, but probably some more than others. That's definitely, you know, been a big one for me on my journey. It's just that feeling of um, not feeling worthy of being treated the way you really are worthy of being treated. You know, being treated with love and respect and appreciation. So that's something that, you know, I've been kind of reminding myself is like, I'm seeing things now that I wasn't able to see before. So for me, it's like I have to forgive that version of me, and in a way accept the responsibility. It's like again, it's like a balance. It's like one having deep, deep compassion for yourself. Having I can't emphasize that one enough. That one comes up for me all the time, and it's something I've really integrated. That I can't emphasize enough is like seriously having compassion for yourself, because again, that's we've all been through so much trauma, and it's just like I don't know. This is like an ongoing journey, so it's like you're always going to be like learning and seeing like new things. So I guess like the less you can beat yourself up about it, the better. I mean, maybe there's some people who it's like, and again, it's everything is such a balance. Like it's like you need to have humility, but at the same time, like you don't want to beat yourself up and like, oh my god, I didn't do it. I didn't Why did I do this? And like it's like these patterns, like these thought patterns, these negative thought patterns we have. It's almost like a record player, like a skipping record where it just goes like uh like back and forth, like I why did I do that? Why did I do that? Or I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm not good enough. It's like something that actually happens in our body. That's why a lot of times, like, I like to check in throughout the day. I check in with my body and actually see like what's going on, because the body is really intelligent, and a lot of the evolution that's happening is actually in the body, because our spirit is already like ascended, but it's the body that's actually ascending. And obviously, again, it's like a, I don't know what you call it, a co-creation. It's toggling back and forth. And people talk a lot about embodiment these days, of like coming back into the body, because being in the body is hard. The body is so heavy, it's so dense, that a lot of times subconsciously we are trying to escape like being in the body. And I know I'm going all over the place, but I really want to go even deeper into that. Like you said, yeah, um we didn't have that. I didn't have enough information, because even when you're dealing with other people, there's this old saying of like they know not what they do. And in a way it's true. Even if people are malevolent, it's like they're if they're that disconnected from God's source, there's still a level where it's like, again, that's just how I see it, at least, is like they know not what they do. So it's the same thing with yourself. When you hurt yourself, again, whether you realize it or not, you didn't know what you didn't realize. And then again, we have these moments in our lives, these moments of clarity, which can hurt, which can be so painful. It's exactly what I'm dealing with right now and what I'm talking about, where all of a sudden it's like all these illusions that you just kind of had going on are just like cleared, and it's painful. It's like, oh my god, like this is this has like been going on, like these things have been going on that have been really bothering me, and I've just been letting it happen again, whether it's you just like having negative thoughts within yourself, or whether it's a relationship or something where someone isn't honoring you, and just um allowing yourself to, again, not be honored, whether it's little things or whether it's like big things. So I don't know. I hope that answers your question. It is so important to forgive yourself again and again and again, and like just have like such compassion for the self, especially most people hear that like if you have a tendency to be more like empathic, um with that feminine energy, you tend to be more passive or codependent. A lot of times it's like I feel like it's those people who have the hardest time forgiving themselves, at least at first. But it's just a practice. It's something that you get used to. You get used to, in the same way, unfortunately, we got used to punishing ourselves for everything. It's like a rewiring, and you start being the observer and catching those things and realizing, wow, like I can have compassion for myself. And the biggest thing again is the inner child. Like look at the inner child. That's often, one of the ways you can kind of frame this, to look at yourself, is like seeing these different aspects of yourself. It seems trippy, but it's so true when you start to look at it. It's like there's this aspect that is hurting me, or allowing myself to be hurt. And then there's aspect of me that is hurt, And then I feel like, again, like once you start to like come into a place where you're actually conscious of it and you see it, just remember that although it's painful, knowing is half the battle. And once you see it, again, I don't know that there's a way you can avoid the pain that comes with it, because it's just like, it's like awakening is painful a lot of times. At first, the first part of it is painful, but just remember that it's always so worth it, because after that pain and that shock, it's like that's when the liberation comes in, and that's where the freedom comes back in, and that's where the growth and the love and the wisdom pours in. Like, that's why it's always worth it. And that's exactly what I'm, talking about. Thank you again. Thank you, Transcode du jour, for the super chat. By the way, I was so into what I was saying. It just like, but yeah, that's the biggest thing to remember, again and again, is like it's always worth it. Even for me right now, it's like, whew, it's so intense. But this is the thing, is like, I already know, I am very connected to the Scorpio energy. So it's like I'm very accustomed to dramatically dying and then like rising out of my own ashes like all the time. So, that's kind of why I feel like it's such a fitting time to talk about this kind of thing, that phoenix energy. And I think, that's just a part of all of us. So it's like learning to dance and sometimes even enjoy that. I mean, again, you might not enjoy it when the peak pain is happening, but again, like, I don't know, I just learned to really flow with it and like surrender to the divine flow, because like when you try to control it and you try to force it, and or you even try to do impulsive things, like you try to like, even when you're like, you try to communicate an idea to someone when you're still triggered, oftentimes it's like it can literally just be so chaotic that it's like, I don't know. So I've learned more and more just to really like do this transmutation within myself. So another thing that goes right along with this that I want to talk about, speaking of the different aspects of ourselves, that this is something that I've been noticing. And again, I kind of feel like it is connected to the eclipse energy, being that it is like the Scorpio energy, which is I think ruled by Venus. So it's like a lot of like really intense feminine energy there. I've been noticing, like, again, like a huge, like a polarization within me of my inner feminine and my inner masculine. I feel my inner feminine rising up as this energy that wants to again play more, dance more, be more free, be more expressive, be more just like have more like pleasure in my life, all these things that come with like the more feminine energy, be more free and dance, and again, just like all of these things, like I feel like that's so important for all of us. Again, like it doesn't matter if you're man or woman, we all have both. We all have masculine and feminine. We're all come from man and woman. So I don't know, I feel that feminine energy coming up. And at the same time, something I notice is that I'm feeling this, my inner masculine energy rise up as well. Because for me, at least, this is just how I'm experiencing my inner masculine coming up to protect that inner feminine, um, which is so so important to be able to truly support and protect that part of me. And again, that's we talk about a lot in a way, like I'm describing it now. That's like that ferocity, that um the reason I feel like this is coming up, and this is coming up really strong, this is another thing that I was kind of seeing before I went live, of just like this divine um, masculine and this divine feminine energy in dancing. Because remember, I know there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of trauma that's been between the masculine and feminine. Obviously, there's a lot of trauma that, still to this day. But the true organic template of the divine masculine and divine feminine is they are in love with each other. It's not a competition. It's not one is more and one is less. Like, that is so inverted. It's like they are two that is one. And truly, in my experience, like these forces are in love with each other. So, you have the masculine, which is in love with the feminine. It's infatuated with the divine feminine. So it's its greatest joy and service to protect and support that energy. That's part of its role. So, when I'm talking about us as beings having these two parts of ourselves, that's that part of you that doesn't take people's shit. Like you have this beautiful feminine, part of you, however that manifests, whether it's art or creation or beauty, your vulnerability, your expressions. This masculine part, what, like, it's like that's that part of you that's like you don't let anyone trample on that anymore. Once again, that's part of being sovereign. It's like because again, it's just you can't have people, that's something I'm realizing more and more is like you can't have people like you can't allow yourself to um, be so like degenerated and dishonored by other people, whether they mean to or not. It's like it's a part of having boundaries and having protection. So, and then you have the feminine force, which is in love with the divine father, which is, it's her greatest joy to delight and excite and, in her beautiful expressions, and so it's just like I don't know, we have these two aspects of ourselves, like this vulnerable, beautiful aspect that is endlessly like creative and birthing, these new things. And just as important, we have this part of ourselves that is like strong. And so I don't know, that was just coming through strong for me. Like I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard for me to explain right now for some reason, but hopefully it makes sense. To have it doesn't matter, whether you're male or female, like, or how you express yourself. Obviously, like I am a woman and I am very feminine, but again, to have that like sacred masculine within me has been so important because it's a part of me that honestly in a lot of my life I was missing it. And so I was just getting like walked all over on, and like have a vow that I am not going to do that anymore as far as I can possibly help it. It's like literally I'm ready to tell anyone to like literally I'm ready to be fierce. Like hell no. Like you are not going to sit here. You know what I mean? Like just be fierce. You've probably seen me talk about this a lot, but especially for, if you resonate with my energy or you feel like that. And the same thing with, if you're on the other side, some people have no problem being fierce and telling everyone to fuck off if they try to mess with them and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, maybe they've had a harder time being more soft, being more playful, being more, you know, um, gentle. So it really, everyone I feel like has a different dynamic. I know this is something that can be triggering for people, but it really doesn't need to be. It's just the fact that we all have our own unique energy, and but no matter what, you have both of these things. And again, my man Carl Jung actually talked about this a lot. The anima, the animus. It's like whatever gender you are, you still have that polarity within you. And in fact, it's the opposite one that tends to be stronger. But that's some deep psychology that like I'm not going to get into because it's not really my niche, but it's worth looking into. Okay, I was going on a rant. Let me see what I missed here. Thank you, Angie. I'm glad that um, assisted you. Hello, Chat Bricks. Yeah, it is about the experience. Exactly. Ooh. Hello, Johnny from California. I'm in Florida right now. It's so beautiful. Uh, I love it. Actually, my flight here was so turbulent. Like it was like in the movies turbulent. It was like it was like I seriously thought I was gonna throw up turbulent for like 3 hours. And I just think that's funny because that's kind of how my trip has been. It's been that turbulent, like on all levels. But again, it's like you just again, like I say, you gotta roll with the punches. And I saw someone even said that. What was your question? Dance video? Huh. We could do that. That would be fun. That would be different for me. So I think that would be fun. So, yeah. lots of lots of intensity. I know we all move through it in our own way, through our own time, but it's just I feel like it's just part of the experience, and like the more you can enjoy it and make humor of it, again, like for me, feeling that intense, deep emotional like sorrow and rage that was like coming through, it's like I don't feel like I can exactly laugh at it then, but once I like move through it and I look back, I can laugh at it because it's just like, wow, not in a way that I'm invalidating it, but in a way that I'm just like, damn, like the human experience is wild. Like the just spectrum of things that you can experience is incredible. So awesome. So let's see if anything else wants to come through. Shadow boxing, yeah, literally. Does anyone have anything they want to share on that topic or really on any topic? I just feel like more and more like I feel like such a call for like freedom. Not just freedom in the sense of our basic rights, which obviously, that's something that is so important that we still are dealing with, but even freedom, like just being free to be who you are, to express yourself, like to, again, I guess this goes back to the feminine and the masculine, like dancing together in harmony and unity. It's like there's when I see people being free, like I don't know about you guys, but when I see people that are like being so utterly free, being themselves, to me that's one of the most activating and inspiring things for me. It's like, wow, like look at these people, like so I want like more and more of that in my life. Free here now. Transcode du jour in the house. Ooh. Yeah, so we're doing it. You know, we're doing it, you guys. We really are. We're doing some amazing work. It's very tangible. I feel like you can really see it, at least like really feel it. I mean, there's still so much gnarliness. There's still so much gnarliness, but coming back within, it's just like, I don't know, moving through the intensity. Just allowing what it is to be okay. Just allowing how you feel to be okay. Again, like so deeply and intimately trusting yourself and your pace and your process. Because I can tell you, like, it is everything is a journey, everything is a process, and there is a pace. And I feel like it's like you hear this all the time, and especially when you're going through it, or maybe you're feeling angsty or disappointed with life. It's like, that's great, but like, when am I going to experience something new? But it really is a process. You really do have your own unfolding pace. And that's, again, a lot to do with the rising feminine energy of like, you can't force open a blooming rose. When you're working on like these creative projects, it's like the more you can learn to just enjoy the process. Because I can see so many things in my life that are right now, they're so incredible. I'm so happy. I'm even like, I guess I would say, very proud of the developments. But when I look back, there's so many things that, I mean, there's a lot of things that worked out, but there's also a lot of things that seemed like dead ends, or it's like, in the moment I was like, why did, like, it felt like a failure and things like this. But then now, when I look back at it, I can see how every single one of those experiences was completely necessary. It gave me exactly what I needed. You know, I guess that is another message coming through, another reminder that a lot of times we will look at the trauma or the pain that we're going through, and again we have this like knee jerk reaction to be like, to feel like it's blocking us from our joy, or like we feel like we're doing something wrong, or we feel like it shouldn't be happening. When if you look back in your life, always those those moments of pain are always catalysts. You know, at least if you really see them that way and you allow them to be. Again, just see the lesson, have a reverence for the lesson. You see that those moments are total catalysts. You know, even again, moments like I was describing earlier that, you know, I'm having, that we have throughout our life, especially on an intense spiritual journey on earth at this time, where, you know, we have these moments in our life where all of a sudden it's like we are able to see, you know, that's you know, there's many different kinds of awakenings, and any kind of awakening is like, oh my god, it's like you see the truth. You know, whatever that may be for you, you know. And a lot of times again that involves seeing like, oh my god, like, you know, how could I have been believing these lies, or how could I have been not like loving myself enough, or how, you know, these kinds of things. And again, there's that, but it's always like it's always worth it. It's always a deeper call to awakening. It's always a catalyst. It's always like you can't break out of something if you don't even see it's there. So it's like if you can't even see that you're like living a lie or something, if you can't even see that something's bothering you, or that something's actually hurting you, again, whether it's yourself or a person or something, you know, whatever it may be, if you can't even see it, how are you gonna like get out of it? You know, that's kind of part of the joy of shadow work, as people call it. It's like it's just part of raising raising consciousness, I would say. You're literally breaking through these lower densities. And again, so I guess it's like it's such a holistic process that, and again, I guess this is all actually does have a theme. You know, I feel like this is kind of random, but it's like it really is this theme of like of like this polarity, intense polarity, but unified polarity. Like it's the whole, you know. A lot of times we like have these certain parts of ourselves that we like and we understand, and we rock with those parts, but then we have the other parts of ourselves that are just as valid. And, you know, usually because of trauma or whatever we learned, and, you know, limiting belief systems, it's like we have parts of ourselves that we're like, I'm not gonna rock with that part. Like that part's bad. Like that part, nobody likes that part. Like, you know, I don't like that part. When it's like I feel like a part of the spiritual journey is like coming into true wholeness, and seeing that these different true organic parts of ourselves aren't meant to be in competition. They're meant to be in harmony. And there's a reason when you incarnated in this life that you would choose these certain qualities to have to work together. And if they're out of alignment, if they're causing you pain and you realize it, then that's probably going to be a very catalyzing moment for you. And again, there's that initial pain and that initial shock, which the less you resist it and fight it and judge yourself and hate yourself for it, the more you just, yep, I did that. Like, no big deal. Like, you know, like, not saying it doesn't matter, no big deal, but no big deal is in like, I'm not going to sit here and just like torture myself about it. Like, come on. Like, we all do this stuff. We all have these processes. You know, what's the truth? What's the lesson? You know, what are the things I need to do now to start living in my integrity, because I see a new level of integrity now that I can live in. That's what it is. That's what the awakening is all about. It's like, oh, there's a new expansion to be had. There's new ascension to be had. There's new integrity that I am perceiving now. And because I'm perceiving it, I'm able to move into it. So yeah, there's going to be that initial stage of like, like, oh my God, you know, again, whether it's rage or sadness or guilt, or all of it, the whole enchilada. A lot of times it is, for more intense things. Learn how you can move through that and just move through it. I don't know how else to say it than that. It's alchemy. Just flow. Um, have that in Brazil. We called it firmeza, and that was something that we talked about when you were having, Santo Daime, again, really intense plant medicine where you really go deep. But it's the same thing with life, because life literally now feels like plant medicine all the time. But for Mesa, it means having focus, having firmness, even when things are dicey, even when things are sketchy, even when it's so intense you don't even know if you're going to make it, kind of stuff. Have that firmness, have that focus, have that part of yourself that it knows. It's the rock. Again, like I said earlier, I've learned to be very in touch with that part of myself, because I really do have so much love and trust for myself more than ever before. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm trusting myself. I'm honoring myself. For real. Like, that's the key to like deep happiness, is actually, it's not literally being happy all the time, because you're still going to have your contrast, but it's being so in touch with God, so in touch with source, so in touch with who you really are, that even when part of you is being rattled, that's the perfect word, being rattled, like you're in the dryer just being rattled. And it's like you can't even find an equilibrium because you're literally being so rattled. But eventually, you come back into stillness, you come back into peace, and then that's the part of the awakening that is the most glorious thing. If you're here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just part of it. It's like once you go through the rattling, you come into this like most beautiful, glorious love that's like, wow, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. It's always worth it. It's just transformation. It's just it's like they say, it takes like intense pressure to make diamonds. It's just, that's a good analogy. It's like it just takes these processes to really, really flourish, really, really, truly. And again, a lot of the things that you go through that seem like they're holding you back, can you flip your script and see that maybe it was actually something your higher self designed with love just for you, so that you could see what you need to see for your greatest and highest good. That's what I'm saying. Everything is always for your greatest and highest good, especially when you truly start believing that and flowing with that. Again, that's how I live my life. It's like I'm literally in my higher self. So it's like whatever is arising, whether my ego will judge it as good or bad, I know that it's literally for my greatest and highest good. That's just how it is. So let's see. Thank you, Brett. Hey, Brett. Good to see you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Beautiful soul. Angie says, any tips to improve focus? Whew. Let's see what comes up with that. I guess the first thing is, really, like I said before, knowing is half the battle. So I feel like as soon as you set the intention to have more focus, and you're already focusing on that. So it's already like coming. Our intentions are so powerful. So, but beyond, and really appreciating that and honoring that. But beyond that, this is in a way, this is a very hard question to answer, because again, I feel like it's so much balance of like, this is a really good question, because it depends on who you are, but I feel like it really is a balance of having that discipline and that focus and that consistency, having that structure. I would say, in this, talking about the masculine and the feminine, like having that masculine, having that um like consistency, but then also having that like free flowing inspiration and not being too rigid, you know, again, I feel like we all have our own unique what comes naturally to us. Because for me, um, again, for me, it's like I'm a very free spirited person, but almost to the point where, like, you know, because a lot of spiritual people, I feel like they talk about um, like everything just flow with everything and everything should be easy. And I get that and I can hold that and I feel like I understand what they mean by that. But in my experience, and that like there is truth to that, but in my experience, like you still have to have discipline. And like for me, I know like I still, you know, in a lot of ways like work my ass off. And for me, I'm such a free flowing person. Like I'm not a type A personality at all. Like I can literally like be just totally like off in my own world for like eternity and it wouldn't even bother me. So for me, like I have to cultivate more discipline and it's just consistency. I feel like it's just, you know, I feel like it's a wisdom of like, because this part, the more feminine side of it is important because like if you're constantly forcing yourself to do stuff you don't want to do, I feel like that's a sign that maybe you need to settle down and like listen to your higher self. Like if it feels like a battle like all the time and it's not working. But so like I don't think you want to force it too much. Like cuz for me I know I have to free flow a lot and I follow like my guidance and I follow, you know, what people call your emotional guidance system. So it's like, you know, if I try to follow, you know, oh, I feel like working on music. Oh, I feel like working on you know, my business or you know, or there's certain obligations in my life that it's like it's not really something I I can't change or avoid. Um, so I don't know. I feel like it's a balance. Um, like you gotta have fun. Like I feel like that's what I'm trying to say is like you gotta enjoy what you're doing and have fun. Learn how to have fun with it because when you do that, your focus is so natural. It's like yeah, of course I want to do that. Like give like I just want to give this my undivided attention. But then at the same time, like still having discipline is important and just learning how to show up, you know, whatever you're trying to focus on. Another tip I guess I can give is like if you're trying to work on something but you're like having a hard time focusing on it or feeling motivated towards it, you know, a few things you could do is one, in a way, like you just, yeah, force yourself to do it. Maybe like do something that makes you happy with it. I don't know. Like, for example, if you have to do work on your computer, you could find something that brings you joy. Maybe you could make yourself like a really like bomb tea to sip on while you do that work or something like that. And just kind of because sometimes it's starting is the hardest part. So like once you start though and you just get dive into it, it's almost like and if you can enjoy what you're doing, it's like it seems like it was you didn't want to do it at all, but then like after and then but then once you jump into it, it's like 1 2 hours can go by and it's like wow, you just got all this work done. Another thing, and this is a huge one that I've really had to put into practice in my life, is if you ever want to do something, or you, whether you're starting something new or you want to be more consistent in something or be more present in something, I can't emphasize visualization enough. Like visualizing yourself doing it consistently. Like, for example, and this is something I learned from like some serious like manifestation masters, and I've applied it in my life, and it's true is to like as often as you can and it doesn't take long but like visualize yourself doing the things you want to do and like sometimes like for example if I want to start something new I will visualize myself doing it or I'll like read stuff or I'll think about why I'm excited to do it and I'll like do that for a while and just build up that momentum before I even like start doing it, if that makes sense. So really good question. Hopefully that is helpful because you know our focus is everything. I mean that's literally like our sight, it's what we're focused on and everything whatever we focus on it's like it will become, and that's why reality is so beautiful, but it's also why reality can be so um, tricksy and sometimes strange. It's like, again, when we catch ourselves maybe focusing on certain things, and it's like, oh my gosh, why am I focusing on that? Because I'm like manifesting something from it that maybe I don't want to be manifesting from it. But again, like I said before, once you see it, like that's the first part of the awakening, is just seeing, and I feel like for a lot of things, for a lot of people, myself included, when we have that reaction of like, when we first awaken, and this is, you can see this like in every single level, whether it's about the bullshit matrix we live in, or whether it's in like our own patterning in ourselves. As soon as we have that like first awakening moment, it's like, oh my god, how am I ever going to fix this? But it's like, you already know you're going to do it, like, at least you always do, right? It's like, it's just that process, like, that's just, I guess, how reality works. It's like, you see it, you see the problem, whether it's, oh, I'm not focusing, or oh, I'm not forgiving myself, or whatever it is. And this is a reminder to myself as well, so I'm really glad that this is coming up. It's like, if it's like, sometimes I feel like, because we have so much trauma and we've been in such this density, and we forget that we are such creator beings, that when we have those moments, those initial moments of like contrast, that's simply what it is. It's like, oh, I'm not having as much focus as I want, I'm not having as much um, money as I want, I'm not having as much fun as I want, I'm not having as much harmony in my relationships, or whatever it is. Just remember, like, every time you do that, you're immediately planting the seed. Like, as soon as you realize what you don't want, you're immediately realizing what you do want. And so it's kind of up to you if you want to keep like beating the drum to like the, again, that record, that like scratching record of like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I hate this, fuck this is horrible, or whatever it is. It's like, you can honestly stay in that for a while, but if you can, just remember, like, you really are a creator being. And I'm speaking from my experience, because I've done both of these things. I've lingered in my own um, angst and disappointment, as well as come into creating things in my life that are truly like unbelievable. And so just remember that, I talked about that in my one video. I think it's called like Cultivating Gratitude, Satisfaction, and Confidence. It's like part of having confidence and knowing that you are a creator being. So, as soon as you notice something you don't like in your life, the more you practice this, instead of like being like, oh my God, I hate this, the more you can be like, oh yeah, don't really like that. I'm going to start creating this. And then it just becomes this whole new journey that is specifically designed for you by your higher self, because you're literally in your higher self. A lot of problems when it comes to not trusting your higher self, I think, has to do with the lack and the scarcity, because we don't realize we are infinite creator beings, and our higher self and our guides literally have our back, and I'm so grateful, because I'm at a point where when I talk to my higher self and my guides, I'm like, you guys are amazing. Like, literally, like, you couldn't be doing a better job. I have so much faith. It's like, it's literally, I've had enough times in my life where I've been so floored by how amazing life is, and what creator beings we really are, that I'm grateful to kind of be more than ever at a point where I'm like, yeah, like, I'm trusting it. I'm trusting what's arising, no matter what it is. I'm unconditionally trusting it and tapping into my higher self and my heart. Okay. Angie says, one last question, if it is appropriate for the topic. Are mostly neurodivergent folks waking up in this wave now? Just your opinion, or how common do you think it is to be neurodivergent on this path? She says, no more questions, haha. But hey, you can ask as many questions as you want. I welcome that for sure. It really helps me, because it's just amazing to me more and more how much I find that, like, everyone that's here, it's like we really be thinking about the same things a lot of times. But okay, so as for this question, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what that means. I'm kind of out of the loop, but I can assume that it means like you think differently. Like, sorry, for my ignorance. Um, maybe you can help me out with that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I know what that means. Um, I feel like I've seen it before. Assuming I know what that means, that it means, I guess, like thinking like very differently. Maybe having just different. Uh, I don't know. It's so hard because I feel like maybe we're all neurodivergent. Is that, I don't know, is that wrong for me to say that? I don't know. I feel like we all are like just like, is there really a normal? I don't know. Oh, okay, like autistic. All right. ADD. Um, Interesting. I don't know how I can answer this question, honestly. I don't know if I have a lot of experience. Um, but I imagine that there's many of them waking up. I mean, I feel like if you already have something that like, I don't know, like not separates you, but if you already have something that's like, I guess, makes you stand out from like mainstream ways of thinking and conformity and stuff, I imagine that maybe unless you have like a lot of like really intense like propaganda in your life, like I imagine it maybe, you could see you might have even easier time seeing differently, seeing the world differently. I know that we're all so unique, and that's a big part of how I see things is like it's weird because there's like this really intense duality, but at the same time there's so many multi it's so multidimensional. Like all beings are such unique fractals of God that like we all see things so differently. It's like, but we're all one and the same, and yet we are all able to perceive this life so differently. And it's like, I don't, um, oop, let's go back to that. Yeah, like noticing patterns and being more curious. Um, I don't know. I remember that I remember like a big part of my awakening was like the liberty movement and going to like, I don't know, like liberty, I don't know if you say libertarian. It's a whole shit show on its own, but I've met some beautiful people in that like niche, like freedom minded people, and a lot of them do say that they are autistic. There's a lot of them that um yeah, I'm not super like aware of these things, but I know that a lot of them are autistic, or at least they say they are. So, and I can see that they think differently. So it's like, so I don't know, I feel like, yeah, that's definitely something I notice, is that you think differently and you see the patterns. And oh, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry. I'm not really, I feel like that's the hard one for me. But yeah, I feel like when you see differently, you think differently. It's just like, I don't see that as a bad thing. I feel like there's, um, I don't know. I feel like our culture has a hard time understanding people that are different, or people that think differently on any level, whether it's something mild or whether it is something severe. I mean, I have a dear um, brother of mine, not literal brother, but like soul brother of mine, that he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. And like, not to go on that whole rabbit hole, but it's kind of frightening how little like the medical community and um I don't even know what you call it. It's like it's just so misunderstood. It's so misunderstood. Crazy. So hopefully we can start to understand those people more. I don't know how deep I should go into that right now, but he shared like some experiences with me of like being in a mental institution, and honestly, it sounds, and from what he said, it's worse than being in prison. And like, I don't know, it's just really sad that there's so many people like that that are genuinely so misunderstood. Um, a lot of them actually have really intense psychic abilities, and a lot of people that have those kinds of things in the olden days, like way ancient times, like they would have been shamans, they would have been, people like this, and they don't really have, um, we don't really have like, sadly, it's like haven't really had room for those people, or like understanding of those people, you know that for my as my friend, for example, is very psychic, like literally has visions and is able to read people and things like that. And yeah, people like that get diagnosed as being mentally ill, and a lot of times those people do have a hard time understanding what they're going through, because again, we just don't have really a culture. More and more we are starting to, but we don't really have a place where people can really understand what is happening, like on a holistic and on a spiritual level. Yeah, which, in my opinion, what do you expect from, like Phil said, medical experts? I mean, what a mess that is. So yeah. So the Atlantean asks a really interesting question. Will there be sex in the age of Aquarius? I'm wondering if you mean sex as in like gender, or sex as in like sex. Either way, I feel like the answer is yes. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I imagine we'll get to a point when society will be so unrecognizable, but I can't imagine we wouldn't have those things, you know? Interesting question. I love this. I love just hanging out with you guys. It's so like relieving, honestly. It's like, wow. Hmm. Maybe you can clarify that for me, or if anyone else has any other questions, or maybe it's time for this tumbleweed to roll on off for now. Yeah, let's see. Thank you, Shag Bricks. I'm grateful that it's relaxing. It's really relaxing for me too. Sometimes I get a little nervous. I'm like, I don't even know what's going to come out, but it's always like perfect. And I know that it's just meant to be whatever it is. Part of what I want to share. I want to share all my love and encouragement and experiences, and share my humanness, because again, it's like I just want to be authentic. That it's like we're all going through this together, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I got so rocked, but it's like beautiful. I love it. Hell yeah, I got rocked. Like that's some real rock and roll in this life, and just having humor with it and just making fun of it. Yes. You guys are so funny. You guys have some really funny questions. I love it. Thoughts on gray sweatpants season and the power of colors. Um, hey, Cosmic Cat. Thank you for popping in. I'm glad that you got to enjoy this. Okay. What is gray sweatpants season? I'm literally, you guys, I live under a rock. So you got to understand that, like, that sounds funny though. I think I might know what you're talking about, but I could be wrong. But I can touch on the power of color, um, because that's something I think about a lot. And just, I don't know, I use colors a lot, as far as a lot of times when I'm going to wear something, I think about the color I want to wear. Red being very intense color. It's often a very emotional color, whether it's something I'm wearing, or even when I have candles. Like, I'm someone who, I try to be really mindful of the color of the candles, and the color of energy. If you ever meditate and just start visualizing colors, their colors are vibration. So I feel like it's important to know. I mean, one of the basic things you can go off is the colors of the chakras. Purple is like that crown chakra, that royalty. Green is that heart. You have the blues of that intuition, that expression. You have the pink, so very feminine and soft and lovely. Um, or the yellow. I use colors a lot as far as like, oh, my solar plexus chakra is feeling weird. Let me just like bask in some kind of yellow energy. And I don't know, I find that really helps. And transcode du jour, thank you so much, beautiful dear friend of mine, Chairman Mao Mao, amazing co-creator, which so much beautiful stuff is going to come of. And yeah, so I think on that note, we will end on just a really brief little meditation, because why not? Just take some breaths. It's not going to be super long like the last one. Just to integrate this energy and like how beautiful it is that we're all going through this in our own way, but we're all together. And how far we've come. Oh my gosh, we've come so far. So, with that said, I'm going to have a little breath, send a little love, a little meditation, and then I'm going to jump off for now. All right, you guys. If you can, just take a moment to close your eyes, relax your body. Breathe in all this loving energy, all this encouraging energy, all this supporting energy around you, that we can come together in community and have these kinds of talks from all over the world. Soul family from all over the world, from all different countries and dimensions and walks of life. Like, what a blessing that is. Even though the technology is like, it can be so oppressive sometimes, it's also such a blessing in times like this, where we could come together like in a circle. So if you want to just keep breathing in that beautiful energy, maybe feeling your body filling in with light, just through your intentions, through the infinite love, light energy that's always flowing through you. Noticing if you have anywhere you're blocking or resisting that God source energy. And if you can, just let those blocks down and let this love flow in and nourish you. Remembering that you are so loved. You really are so, so loved. So breathing in the knowingness that everything that is arising for you now is simply an opportunity for your greatest and highest good. And that you have all the answers that you need right now within you. Truly. And if you feel there's unanswered questions, they will come to you very clearly in divine timing, in dream time, in meditation, throughout your day. Higher self, guides, angels, God working full time for you. Beautiful child of God. You are sacred. You are seen. You are felt. You are appreciated. And you are needed. No matter who you are. You simply would not be here if you were not needed. You are needed in your special, unique role. Continuing to breathe in that love and that trust and that peace. anchoring that peace in. It's freely available to you now. Feeling the love. Letting go of that old energy. Letting go of that illusion of separation. Because you are not separate from the Creator. And when you remember this, Creator's light just shines through you. And this is all you need in any moment. And this is what awakening is coming back into unity with the infinite, eternal, intelligent love that we truly are, giving us all we need. That's what it's all about. Returning to source consciousness. As brave warriors of the light, resonating this love so that beautiful humanity can find this love within themselves too. So worth it and more, my friends. Allow these beautiful light codes to uplift you and encourage you in your day, in your life. Continuing to breathe in that sweet love and that sweet light into your body, into your feet, in your legs, base of your spine, up to through your pelvis, through your belly, through your heart, your shoulders, your hands, your arms, your throat, into your face and into your head, all the way up to your crown, knowing that you truly do have a crown because you truly are royalty in the eyes of God. Never forget that. Thank you for being here, brave, beautiful being, for showing up and doing your best every single day. I honor you. I respect you. And I love you with all that I am. Thank you. All right, you guys. Beautiful, beautiful day. Beautiful talk as always. Beautiful little meditation / prayer. Thank you all so much. I love you all. Thank you, Cosmic Cat. Thank you, Vince. Truly hope you guys have a splendid day. Thank you for tuning in. You are literally so fucking awesome. Yes, you are. You really, really are. Okay, I will see you next time. Goodbye for now, beautiful friends.